Hello, everybody. Welcome to another quarantine edition of Literarily Wasted.
Yes.
We are in separate places, but we're all together now. My name is Adam,
Chrissy.
Talia.
Lucas.
and we should be sitting in the
I
other
was about
place.
to say,
'Cause
yeah,
it says Christy and Adam, but
It always says that.
I'm above the Christy.
It's been wrong every time.
Well, if they can't figure that out,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Uh,
We still love news.
So hey everybody, we're here to talk about the first half of a book called The Magicians
By Lev Grossman.
by Lev Grossman. That is up to book 2. I know we have some people who read beyond. and
Looking
that's
at you,
okay.
Joe.
That's okay. We just can't talk about it. We just can't talk about the second half of the book. Let's do some shout outs.
Yeah, don't
Hey,
spoil it.
Giggles Vids and Mike and Tony and Gina on YouTube. Hey, Scott, Brandy, Chelsea, Rachel, Brandy, Lisa, Kathy, Jeff. Oh, we could just be doing this all day. Hey, everybody. Jenny says this is my first discussion. I'm super excited. Well,
Just have to open it and then push the window to the side. Sorry, we're trying to figure out how to get the comments
we
to
can
show
just
up.
do that.
There we go. Yay!
Stephanie's here. Julie Wheeler is here. Kimberly is here. Joe's here. Ashley's here. Lucas is here.
What?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Justin. Hey, Joe. If this is your first discussion, we're just going to chill out. We're going to talk about the first half of the book, The Magicians. And so I guess I'll throw it to Christy. She can kick us off here with whatever we're going to talk about first.
Well, a quick recap. We have gone
Yes.
through all 5 years of Brakebills in the first half of the book.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Hugh just
That was fast.
graduated, and Josh and what's her name? Janet
Janet
Janet.
and Elliot.
and Elliot have showed up and said, "Pack your bags. We're taking you away from here."
That's right.
We're going to the Big Apple.
So
Broadway.
we basically got like the entire Harry Potter in one half of the book.
Yes, we did.
I thought that too. I was like, oh my god. Each book was like 1 year, and we just went through the entire school program.
And I want to know, was anybody else concerned about like when Dean Fogg initially tells Q that
Quentin.
that it's 5 years? Was anybody like, wait, it's only a trilogy. There's only 3 books. How's he gonna do this?
No, don't worry about it. He's gonna get you through the school in a half a book.
He
there.
did.
Oh. That wasn't an initial worry for me, but now that you mention it, I'm glad that didn't happen. Yikes.
Chelsea says it felt like 5 years to read.
No.
Guess we know how you felt about that. Rebecca says it felt rushed through Brakebills. Yeah, we're gonna get to all of that. There's a lot to unpack here with this book, especially
It goes really fast. There
with
was a
its
lot.
very
Oh,
obvious
sure.
sort of inspiration.
Well, Dan says, I think that was so smart. Dwelling too much on dragging school out was one of Harry Potter's biggest problems, in his opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, these kids are older, so it's not like, we're learning about how these children like function through life and as they grow up. These kids are already more grown.
we learn how they function.
Ew.
A little bit.
Let's ew.
Already.
Yeah,
That was
Joseph.
how long?
Joseph says the pacing is
4
definitely
minutes.
interesting. Yeah, it only took 4 minutes to get to that, huh? Yeah.
Leave it to me.
This book is obviously a whole lot more mature off the bat than Harry Potter. They drop
Yes.
F-bombs. They do the dirty.
They deal with depression and a lot of like mental
Yeah.
illness, really.
I find really interesting.
Yeah, so let's get into it. What should we talk about first?
I mean, I guess.
Do we want to do the thing where we all say one thing, what we do like and what we don't?
Yeah, that
and
sounds
y'all
good.
chime in the comments too. Say like, let's start with the thing that we like. What did you like?
Thing that
What
we
we
like.
used to in the good old
Even
days.
In the good old
That's
days,
what we used
when
to
we were
do.
in person.
Even if you
See?
didn't like it, try to find something that you could say like, okay, because we've done this with Interview with the Vampire, especially.
That was.
Who wants to start?
I mean, I'll start.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it, but my favorite thing about the first half of the book was Quentin's test to get into Brakebills. It was so just purely magical. Like the written portion is what I loved. Like he had to.
Please mention my favorite part.
Yeah, he was given a passage of
Do
the
it.
Tempest And then he had to create a fake language to translate it into, and then he had to answer questions on the grammar and the culture of the people who like use this language and the geography and everything. And then he had to translate it back into English and then note all of the differences. And then also when he was having to draw the bunny and it kept like hopping around his page and eating at the other questions, and he had to like coax it with drawn radishes and create a fence to like finish drawing it.
That was my favorite part.
it was-
I remember reading that part when he was like, he distracted it by drawing radishes, and then when he drew the fence around it, I was like, oh my god, I love this.
I smiled through his whole test. It was so charming. I loved it.
Yay.
Something I didn't like?
Somebody watching the news or something?
We'll get to the didn'ts.
Okay,
Adam,
start with
what
the
did you
positives.
like?
What did I like? So.
Oh, it's the TV. You
Sorry.
left the TV volume on. That's what that sound
I was
is.
wondering what that
Sorry.
was. The things I liked, I don't know, like I came into it with certain expectations, and I knew it was going to be Harry Potter but dark, and it certainly came through on that, and I came around to liking the fact that it was kind of like the anti-Harry Potter, that it was like all the things that you kind of find warm and fuzzy about the world of magic. Well, no, it's not. This is like, you know, we're taking it. It's a different look at like the world of magic and magic schools, and like it's super mundane. Like as much as like they're doing sort of like magical things, the way they approach it, the way they think about it is very like scientific and like, you know, very theory practice. It's a lot of like, you know, as a former professor, pedagogy involved, and it like, you know, otherwise like Harry Potter, they're like, now we're going to learn how to grow these things. You say these words and oh, something weird's going to happen. Ah ha ha, mischief. And then you move on, but it's kind of whimsical, and it's kind of like, you know, you get like that night circus magic effect of Harry Potter, whereas here it's just like, do I even want to like go here? Which I liked. I like that sort of not Harry Potter take.
I like that too.
So first, I gotta call this out. Jean says on YouTube, "I haven't read Harry Potter." I can't even
You
address
really
that
good.
right now, Jean. But
Jean.
that's good.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
Listen, I haven't read Harry Potter.
No,
either.
listen to the audiobook if you
Stop
like
telling me
audiobooks
that.
at all, because the audiobook is narrated amazingly for Harry Potter.
I haven't read it. I've only seen like 3 of the movies.
But
Stop telling people
Jean
that.
says on YouTube that he did like the professors, so that's good. You know,
Okay.
Talia, go.
I lost my choo-choo train of thought.
I'm sorry.
So I was saying I in a similar vein as Adam, I like that this felt more like what magic would be like in the real world. It was instead of it's almost like the perspective of wizards from the Muggle side, I guess. Like instead of like automatically immediately being thrown into the super whimsical world, it's like, hey, we're still very much in the real world, and here's how you have to function if you want to do this. It felt honestly like, if you had to think about the magic aspect of it, it felt more like Doctor Strange to me. I kept thinking about, you know, especially the hand gestures that they have to do, all of that studying and learning and the reading and the time, everything that it would take. I just kept picturing all of that, like the training happening like in Doctor Strange, which makes more sense. Like, yeah, if anyone in this world's going to be equipped to do it, it's not just that innate ability, but they also need like to be crazy smart in order to learn this whole other world and language and all of this stuff. And I'm not smart enough to go to that school. But I do have to admit, before I forget, there was one moment when I read the very first page of the book, and I was like, so Quentin is this tall, hunched over guy, and his friend, what's his name? I forgot. James, like, is the good-looking guy who's super nice and good at everything, and he has Julia, and he's in love with Julia, and I was like, I got to the bottom of the first page and was like, well, I wonder if he's going to accidentally kill her by electrocuting her. Like,
That's a vicious
I
spoiler
immediately
right
was
there.
like, oh, what? But I'm very glad it did not go that route. And I'm honestly, it's taken me some time to get into it, but I'm not like super obsessed with this like I was with the Wool trilogy and like I was with Red Rising. It has been a much slower burn for me, but I'm really enjoying it. And at this point in time, I've already committed to getting the rest of the trilogy. So
Yeah, I just lost the comment. It scrolled up, but Chelsea had a good comment that it felt less archaic, and I think that's kind of what I like too. Like they really kind of dug into the how intricate the magic is. Where Harry Potter, you kind of feel like as long as you know the words and you can kind of flick your wand the right way, you can do magic if you have that innate ability. And I felt like this really took like I liked his description of the marble and how they basically lived with that marble for an entire semester, entire year, and learned the basics of just the minor manipulations of that. So, and I really liked the transformations that they had, into the I forget what kind of bird it was. Was it
The goose. It was
goose? Yeah, it was a goose. And the fox. That kind of harkened back to Sword in the Stone for me.
oh yeah, like
With Archimedes and
I love that.
where Wart gets. You can see our cat. He is not used
He's
to.
no, you can't see him. He's
These
not
chairs are
over
never here, so he's able to hop on the mantle. So anyway, yeah. So I really like that kind of Sword in the Stone feel of them getting transformed to learn something, and it felt like the magic, like you said, Tally, was harder to do, and I kind of like that take, and like some of you are saying in the comments, I don't know where it's going, and I hope it does kind of find its path, but I think he gave us enough threads to kind of keep me interested, like the Beast. I was really interested in the Beast portion and like how does that open up the onion of this world.
Yeah. If we get into the things that we didn't like, I think I'm going to agree with some of the people in the comment section, in that I don't particularly like Quentin.
Yeah.
I don't think that he reminds me a lot of Victor from Vicious.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Where but in like a sad sack kind of. Somebody said it in the comments. Caitlin, Q is a whiny, sad sack of a person. He is.
Yeah.
But and there was a time where, and Christy remembers this, when reading through the book, I was like, if he talks about Fillory one more time, I'm going to rip this book apart, because it's just kind of a weird, like, here you are in this like magic school place that you went through some bushes to get through, and you're still talking about this book series.
Well, I think that's how he is able to, justify the world and Brakebills and everything, is that he knew magic in the context of Fillory, and so he's able to like kind of understand it that way, even though it's very different.
I like that. That's what like you were tired of him talking about, because I agree that he's unlikable. It's not a problem for me enjoying the book, but I agree that he's not a likable person. But for me,
The narrator, Hardboiled Wonderland talked about
One of
stuff.
my mics was rubbing.
Yeah, I saw that. Scott
Scott
said
thinks
yours.
it's me. Christy, Vicky thinks it's you. The game is on.
it's
now.
not us. We're
Okay,
not
not
using
us.
it.
Moving my hair just in case.
Aha. But yeah, no,
sorry,
but
Liz.
I was it made me more excited to read next month's book, because I'm really looking forward to reading. First off, it's been almost a year since we've read a book written by two authors, but also to read a book written by a man and a woman. I'm really excited about
Yeah.
that. Sorry to detour, but yeah, I'm like tired of reading books written by dudes.
So y'all
Really-
getting static?
Is it still happening?
Might be the wireless mics. Sorry. Hang on.
And guys,
Uh-oh.
while they're addressing
Carry
that, I
on.
will say stick around until the very end of this stream,
Yes.
because we have a really big announcement, and you're gonna want to hear it.
I feel like
So
you're hyping it up so much.
Oh,
it's
a big
exciting. I'm excited. If I
No,
hype it
it's-
up too much,
I'll
We
be
have
right
two
back. Y'all keep
announcements.
talking.
I'm of the mindset that like we should just say, oh, we have like a pretty cool announcement, and that way when we tell people, they're like, oh, that's super cool.
Class, we have an announcement at the end of class.
Let's be underwhelming.
Anyway, carry on,
Moving
Christy.
on from that.
So what didn't you like?
I thought he just rushed through Brakebills so much because it is like our first introduction to magic in the world, and I felt like we could have gotten a lot more. So that's my big thing. And also some character development was missing. I was expecting Penny to play a much bigger part because he was introduced.
Yeah.
And he was part of the original group. And then he wasn't. And then we barely heard from him again.
Ooh, there it is. I heard it.
I feel like that's going to come back into play, though, because with that,
Penny.
the whole, like, he did disappear for, like, the longest time. And then him being like, oh, he's a prefect. And, oh, what's his discipline? I think that little mention at the end, I feel like he's going to come back into play later on in the trilogy.
Yeah.
Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong. If you've read this book, just let me just.
So kind of catching up on YouTube, Gene says he's felt sorry for Julia. I don't know if that's...
Oh, gosh, for sure.
Yeah, that was...
That.
And Mike,
her life has
Mike
been
projects
ruined.
that Penny is going to actually be the villain, Christy.
Ooh.
It's kind of like
that.
I could see that like a oh god, it's like Percy. Is it Percy in Harry Potter, the prefect?
The Weasley.
Yeah.
Weasley? Yeah, he kind of.
See, really? Because as soon as they called him Moonfaced, I started picturing him as Neville with a mohawk. Like, that's where I
No,
went.
Gene
Also,
doesn't get that at all.
to get back to Harry Potter for a second, I just want to say, I love that Harry, and Adam mentioned this before, I love that Harry Potter exists in this world.
Yeah.
That when Josh was drunk, he was like, forgot my Quidditch robes. Wait, nope. Like,
I will say, and I think it was good on Lev Grossman to own that
Yeah.
and just run with it, because I think if he didn't, people would have just equated it to Dark Harry Potter, which, it's a different take on magic in a modern world. But I like that he owned it. And my favorite line, I think, was Josh's "Wizard needs food badly," which is
Gauntlet.
that is a Gauntlet reference for all the video game fans.
Oh!
That was, I was like, oh, Lev Grossman playing homage to video games. So
no, there are for sure some little moments that he wrote in that I loved, and they were like super fun, and I don't know. I am enjoying the book. I totally get how, like, I agree that the pacing, if I had to choose things that I don't like, I feel like the pacing is uneven. I feel like I'm like speeding through parts and then jerking to a halt, and speeding through parts and jerking to a halt, and that. So the pacing, but on par with that, there have been so many unexpected moments. I know that I've seen a complaint being that there's no plot. But I feel like this is the story building book. I know that it's a trilogy, and I feel like maybe if this book is building the world, that comes in later. But there are still crazy things happening that I feel like are going to come back. Like that whole thing with the beast and how Amanda got eaten alive. Like, you're just reading, and all of a sudden he was like, yeah, and then he touched her ankle, and he didn't know that she was dead. And I was like, ugh.
So do y'all want to talk about some of the mystery? So Julie actually mentioned that, but surely we'll see the beast again. I think that was just an introduction. And then Jenny made a good point about, she was so intrigued about the woman who led Quentin into Brakebills. The not paramedic.
But she turned out to be the doctor at the Brakebills.
Yeah, but there's
but
still
there was
some
that
kind
weird,
of mystery
remember
around
that
her.
weird intro with what's his
Dean
face?
Fogg?
Yeah, the dean, when he was like, the woman with the braids, what, you saw her? And he was like, so he didn't know about that. And I feel like this book is the setup. There's so many little things we're going to be introduced to, and then we're going to get smacked in the face with them all later, probably in book 2.
I hope we get smacked in the face with some of them in book 1.
Book 1 felt like a prologue. Like,
oh wait, I'm talking about the book 1 of the trilogy.
No, I'm talking about that first half that we just read.
Just kidding.
Oh, sorry, I was definitely talking about book 2 of the trilogy. It's confusing.
I'm confused.
No, but I feel like this entire thing, even though we're only to this part, I feel like this entire thing is going to end up being predominantly world building.
Because we're a little bit over halfway, right?
Yes.
At this point,
55.
so
Just like
56%.
Vicky says, "Oh, the paramedic. You mean Tonks Light? That's pretty. That's pretty solid, Vicky." Gene doesn't get that at all. But
There's a lot of Harry Potter references. Sorry.
Oh, come on.
What?
I don't read Harry Potter.
Well, maybe you should.
Well,
have.
maybe you should, and
Maybe
then you
you
would
should.
understand these references that we're making.
But yeah, I felt like it was a big prologue, and I'm we talk about there's no plot. Some people in the comments are like, "Who needs plot?" I need a little bit of it.
I will say I get some of the comments of it's kind of this like stop and go, ebb and flow thing, but I think overall I am enjoying it, and I kind of want to see how the world gets fleshed out to see how it is a different take on magic in a modern world. I think that's interesting, and I think what he's offered us is varied enough to kind of warrant keeping going. So I'm actually okay if this ends up we get through book 1 and it's kind of a world building book, because honestly that's kind of how Red Rising was, and if you push past Red Rising, the world really just like opens up and you're like, oh my god, this series is fantastic. And that's kind of how a lot of people were with Red Rising. So I'd be kind of interested to see,
I can see that.
did you feel the same about Red Rising? Because
that was such a tiny story and such a huge world.
yeah, and I feel like that was kind of the mix. We've kind of got a mixed bag of people enjoying it and people that are ready to just bow out.
I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna keep reading, and I want to know what happens.
You have to.
But Red Rising still had like a super objective, right? It was like
Well, we knew from
That's
the
true.
beginning what the objective of.
and there were
guy
there were
was.
seeded sort of layers of like, all right, there's a super objective of one, like reigning supreme in this trial, and two, like this whole subversion of fact that he was molded to try to subvert this world. That was sort of laid. Those plans were laid in the beginning, and here he just kind of wanders into a place and sort of stumbles his way through.
Well, even at graduation, he's so worried because if you don't find something to do after you graduate, you're just kind of lost.
So can we talk about that for 1 second? Because
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest parts to me, and I don't know, I took it as just hilarious, was going to Alice's parents and her dad's like in togas and has like built out this whole Roman thing, and her mom's like feels like she's drunk and her she's falling out of her dress
Very
and she's just
orchestra.
like whatever, and it's just like I don't know. I want a sitcom with Alice's parents in this magical world where they have all this power, but they're kind of just in this mundane, like unhappy.
It's like, because what can you do with it? You have to keep it a secret. You have to find something to drive you, or else, you're just going to use your magic to keep yourself entertained. Like, I'm just going to remodel my house every few
I
months.
just thought that was hilarious to see this
Because I know the
couple.
spell to reinforce my foundation.
I think,
Welcome to the real world, you guys. If I knew that spell, I would use it, because that's real life.
And Caitlin said, and her dad ordered a pizza.
yeah.
Oh, after all the gross things that him and
Well, I
Alice
think-
have just eaten.
I think that
It's like I ordered Domino's.
one of the things that kind of gets me about this book is that we're talking about graduation, is that it kind of hits close to home a little bit. Like as somebody who went to basically like an art creative field, it's like you go through the school, you learn all these sort of skills, and then you get out and you're like, oh no.
And
Yeah, I can relate to that too.
Uh,
Everyone can to some degree, even if it's not necessarily like after college. You hit that moment in your life where you're like, what am I going to
but
do?
I actually really love that that's the question, because like, you look at Hogwarts in Harry Potter and like people going through magic school and you're like, why? What is the purpose of this? What is the point of becoming a magician? What is life after school for a magician? And
Yeah,
I'm
they don't
really
really
glad that we're
answer
going to
it.
get an answer for that, or at least they're going to try to
Theoretically,
answer
yeah.
that in the second half of the book, because like that I always kind of wonder about Harry Potter. One, it's an incredibly dangerous place to be. You could die. Two, like you finish up and you get a degree in wizardry, and like, I mean, they talked a little bit about how some people sort of get in, they try to like manipulate world governments, or like, you know, they have these sort of secret
Star
positions
Wars?
Change the Northern Lights.
just
Yeah.
for the hell of it, like, but then like then you see Alice's parents who have all this power and just like are apathetic. They just kind of exist.
Living in the suburbs. I really want a reality show with her parents because I think it'd be very funny.
Um, yeah, everybody wants us to talk about the fourth year trip.
Oh.
The fourth year trip. Here's. You want to hear my summary?
Oh, their semester in Antarctica?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
They call
my
it the Fox years.
the Fox years. The only thing I could think of through most of that, and I'm setting myself up, and if this flops, it flops. But
I'm ready to cringe.
you know, it's like the Newlywed Game, and it's like, and tell us where's your favorite place to make whoopee, and it's like, well, we go to Antarctica and we change ourselves into
Okay.
foxes,
Yeah.
and it's just a really great moment.
All right. Well, I want to talk about how I thought it
It
was
was very weird.
actually very brilliant of the school setting, like how he designed it. Like, yes, this is incredibly mundane. What is the best way to make some of this stuff like muscle memory? How on earth would you ingrain all of this information into your brain? You need to be in a place where there is zero distractions. You can't talk. There's nothing to look at. The light is always the same because you're in friggin' Antarctica and the sun never sets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're stuck in a little cell with nothing. Like, it really is. It is a world completely devoid of distraction. And, like, that's the only way where you can go and just, like, here, do this spell a million different ways over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, it was a
And I was like, oh.
that was the part of the book that really got that was when I felt like, oh, this is interesting, because
Very difficult.
not because of the Fox thing, but just the whole experience. Like, you know, he did a very good job setting it up with like, oh, we don't talk about fourth year. What happens to the fourth years? We don't talk about that. And like even like the jokesters are like,
Well, yeah, and because I guess the mystery around the whole thing was the fourth years would come back and they'd be lean, and there'd be an obvious physical and emotional change to everybody, right?
Well, yeah, because they all just friggin' flew around the entire halfway
as
across the
geese.
globe. Yeah,
and
and had a crazy change, and then had to basically live in a prison
Yeah.
studying for a full semester
Without being able
before
to talk.
Yeah.
Don't
before they
forget
came
that.
back
then
home.
getting into his little geese brain, that was fun for me. Like
Yeah,
he
Oh, yeah.
had just enough of his own consciousness to be able to say like, I did geese things.
I do think that was nice because a lot of times in books, when you read about some sort of transformation happening like that, they retain their mental
Right, their-
abilities,
Yeah.
Their
and they're
capacity.
just in a different body. And I like how this was much more. It's like, no, there's like a little nugget of yourself in there, but you have transformed yourself, and that includes your brain. So I thought that was a nice change.
Well, we got that
But yeah.
when they turned into foxes too. We got
Yeah.
Yeah,
fox
brain.
spots, yeah.
Yep.
And even
Fox
polar
brain.
bears, they were like, ha ha ha.
All the fox thoughts. But here's another. This kind of brings me back to talking about Quentin as a character, and Red Rising. He reminded me a lot of Darrow in the sense that like he never really seemed to struggle with things. Like things came very naturally to him. He had like the ability. It was sort of, you know, he still had to like study, but you know, they elevated him. They moved him up a year, and he just kind of seemed to like just kind of make it.
Yeah, you can't compare him to Darrow, though.
But
Darrow
Darrow's the
was
same.
totally unrealistic. Quentin has been training for this his whole life. He's always been the top of his class. He's been incredibly competitive, and he has been obsessed with Fillory. He is ready for this. And then when he finally got into Brakebills, he threw himself into it.
Yeah, but Fillory was nothing. That was like
It's effort. Like, yeah, Darrow never had to try. Whereas I think it might seem like things come easy to what's his face, Quentin, but he is putting forth a ridiculous amount of effort.
He is,
like
but-
he loves to try. And the difference is Darrow was happy. He was happy with his flat little life. And Quentin is very unhappy.
Oh, he's still unhappy.
He's a miserable dude.
Y'all, I gotta point out a comment. Jess Welch said, "Next shirt, I did geese things." That's solid.
On the back
Jess.
it
Good
says
job.
I did
Good
fox
on
things too.
I did. Yes, that's our season shirt, everybody.
Joe says, I kind of liked Soviet Snape just because he was so blunt. He didn't talk around anything. I love that you pictured him as Snape because I definitely, and this is probably just because of the trailers, but I definitely pictured him as, oh God, what's his name? From Stranger Things, since he's in Russia now.
Oh,
Oh,
I pictured him as
That guy.
Oh gosh,
the
what is his
sheriff.
name?
oh,
From-
I was
Hopper.
gonna,
Hopper.
I was gonna
I
say
pictured
Dangle,
him
but that's
as
a different.
if Hopper was Russian.
You mean
That's
like
how
Hopper from the Black Widow trailer?
yes, basically. That's how I saw him
Untitled game.
in my brain.
Nice, Vicky.
Yeah. The,
Y'all got some zingers tonight, baby.
yeah, it was that whole experience was what kind of woke me up to the book, and I was like, this is kind of neat, and I liked, I like how just what's the word I'm looking for, magical it is. it's very,
Yeah, they're just kids in school, right? It's just a different kind of
They're
school.
in the real world. There are real world issues, and I like that. I like that it's a fantasy book set in like
And even at the end, at our
Here.
stopping point, they say, um, like they're more excited to just be in New York than to have all these skills and be able to do magic. It's like, man, we're in New York and
We
so
all
and
got
so's
place. We're living
drinking, and it's just
together.
like,
We're
yeah, we're living on
roommates.
our own. It's a little bit more true to life. Like, when we all got out of school or something, it's the excitement comes from where are you? Where are your friends? What are you guys doing and hanging out? And yeah, because we all have magical abilities, but it's kind of the camaraderie, and I appreciated that. It's look, it was a whirlwind of cramming Harry Potter stuff into half a book, and like I said, I'm excited to see how he develops this world as a whole. Because if the Beast is like one little inkling of a hint of how epic it could be, like I was really intrigued with that. I actually,
that was terrifying.
I've been listening to Audible stuff, but I went back and listened to that entire chapter, and it's like 40 minutes. So if that tells you anything, I spent another 40 minutes just re-listening because I was like, wait, did I miss something there?
these chapters are long.
I did. I went back and
Yeah.
reread the part where Amanda was casting the spell and stuff, like the offensive spell and everything. After I saw that she died, I went back and reread that part, and it was very uncomfortable.
Stacy makes a good point. So she said, magic won't make you magically a better person. And I think that's kind of how you feel with Harry Potter, is like the more magic they get, the more some of those characters elevate. And here it's just,
But I feel like magic is also much more widespread. Like in Harry Potter, you just have that innate ability. Cool. You go to wizard school. You're there. Brakebills is not like that. Brakebills, there are test after test after test. It is very selective. There are only 20 people in each class. Like they're very choosy about how you get in. Whereas Hogwarts, there's hundreds of kids because like every wizard, your children, you just go there. Like,
Yeah.
it's more of, I feel like Hogwarts is more, those wizards, it's more of like a genetic,
Familial.
it's like a race
Yeah.
almost.
Well,
Whereas this is
With,
something
with
different.
Hogwarts, if you have any magical ability, you're going to Hogwarts.
There's no choice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Brakebills is prestigious and picky.
They ball.
I really like the cutoff they had, that they only take 20 students every year. Like,
yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
They also only it comes out that they also only take like damaged people.
Yes. Basically, in order to do magic, you must be depressed.
Yeah, you've got to have some sort of like issues. And like, I don't know if we're jumping ahead, but like the revelation of Alice and her brother and the
Yeah.
Russian guy.
Yeah.
That part went a little fast for me. I had to go back and listen to it, re-listen to Janet. It's Janet, right?
Yeah.
That had that speech, and she called her the C word, and I was like, wait, what? What?
I was really surprised that Alice didn't confront her parents about it when they after that when they went home for the holiday or whatever. I really thought that she was going to confront her parents and be like, "Why didn't you tell me what really happened to my brother?" And like I thought more of the story was going to come out. I wonder if that will come back up later.
Well, Jeff Moore said, but there are other schools, so maybe only Brakebills takes the damaged people. But I really got the impression that you can't do magic if you're happy. If you're like a whole fulfilled person, like you can't do magic.
That's
I agree. That's how it felt. Yeah.
Here's a good topic. Rebecca says no one has mentioned the weird demon back tattoo
Oh,
mess.
yeah.
oh, that's foreshadowing.
Well,
That's
they just
coming later.
threw that in at the end.
So I have a question about that because they say the graduation is a private ceremony, so the underclassmen don't ever go and they don't know if this is part of it. And I wonder, I had this weird moment where I thought, do they do that for every single graduating class, or is this something specific that the dean is doing for this class because they encountered the beast? Is this to help protect them from the beast, or does everyone
Was he
who
just
comes on
saying
Brakebills
that
have
kind of thing?
I wonder. Well, he didn't say. It just kind of happened. So I kind of wondered, is this all Brakebills or just this class because they were seen?
I kind of had this image of like the whatever character being like salami sandwich, and then this little demon goes "Rah!" and like comes out.
What?
Pork chop
Well, he said
sandwiches.
like, yeah, but pork chop sandwiches. It comes out
What?
like with a special word, and then this little demon
Oh,
comes out
my
and fights.
God.
He's like,
I
"Rah!"
was
It was just like
what are
this
you
little imp
talking
thing, like
about? You
I
think
don't
the
know.
password would be pork chop
Or
sandwich?
salami sandwiches. Why not?
I had zero clue what you were
My
talking
demon's
about.
coming up.
Well, you can only do it once.
I know.
We got some varying opinions. Some people think that it was just for the people who encountered the beast, and some people think that it was for all the students to graduate. I got the impression it was for all of them, but I don't know.
That's like a lot of demons, you guys.
Yeah, there's a
That's
lot. There's
ton
like
of
one
demons.
demon per person. Is like the same demon.
I think it's one demon per person.
So that's
Joe says weird
yeah.
demon back tattoo. Name of my band. Called it.
But that's like a lot. You gotta think. So they're stealing from hell, I guess, 20 demons a year. Like, is that sustainable, you guys?
So Gigglevids on YouTube said, I also thought it was kind of interesting how we knew magic existed, but this was a sudden revelation that demons also exist. What other supernatural entities are in this world?
Ooh, that's
So there are pixies, there are dragons, there are tiny little lizards with wings.
Oh yeah, from
Did
the
they-
test.
that bite fingers. There.
But then the beast was like in a suit, right?
Well, I wonder. He said that the beast is massive, and so I wonder if that's just how, like, so obviously he was pictured as a normal man with like a tree in front of his face or like a branch in front of his
I
face.
couldn't.
But the dean said that the beast is massive and that they just viewed like a part of him, and also he had like extra fingers, and that's creepy weird. But
Yeah, I couldn't visualize
to
it
do
well.
magic. Can you imagine how good you would be at all of the magic thingies if you have a bajillion fingers?
yeah, because
I
you
have
have
to
to
get
move
our
your
cat.
fingers in weird ways.
Yeah.
Break something.
So I wonder if that was just a way. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to think of. The way that he like projected himself
Yeah,
so
it's
that
his, like,
into that
It's his
universe.
projected image.
Maybe, yeah.
And they all
Yeah.
saw him as like a little man, but he was
But
really
he's
like,
yeah.
unfathomable to the
Yeah.
visual eye.
But since humans wouldn't be able to perceive like what he actually looked like, this was just like a safe. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
So that's obviously going to come back up,
Oh,
though. That Quentin screwed up the whole thing, right? I mean, he's been holding on to
He's
that.
been holding on to
baggage
this guilt over feeling responsible for Amanda, which
But isn't he? I mean,
I'm-
like,
yes,
It seemed
Like,
pretty
obviously-
clear that he was.
obviously that was
Cthulhu.
not his intention, but this unfortunate circumstance led to this terrible accident, which resulted in the beast eating Amanda.
oh yeah. Justin says WTF with that nursery rhyme that the Beast sang at the end.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was
Oh, I
creepy.
forgot
I
So
forgot about
creepy.
that too.
That was creepy.
Heather just noticed Buddy because he's so still. Hey, Bud Dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to go back and read the Beast scene because I only read it once uh, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening when I was reading it. I was like, there's this little man and like they can't move.
Yeah, when he first appeared, I was like, I was like, is he hallucinating? There are a lot of hallucinations in this book because people keep losing their minds.
And Quentin, does he still think that it's his fault because he did the little podium trick?
I think he does.
He thinks that it's his
well,
fault
and
that the
Dean
Beast showed
Fogg
up.
said that it was because there was like a distraction in like the casting.
Amanda said it right before they all froze and she got
It
eaten.
was Alice that said it. Alice leaned over and was like, "He's not doing that."
It was not Alice, it was Amanda.
I thought it was Alice because Amanda was sitting like in the back. or
Yeah,
something.
Alice said it to Quentin, but then after the whole thing, Dean Fogg told the whole school that there was like a mistake that happened or an interruption that happened in the casting that caused it.
Because
Yeah, he skipped a syllable.
Yeah.
He skipped a syllable and
professor
it
did.
changed it. Yeah. The professor skipped a syllable of the spell, and that's what altered it and allowed the beast to get
Matt,
To enter
Matt
into
says
the world.
Quentin interrupted the spell. Was it Quentin's moving the podium
Yeah.
forced the professor to sort of change
Which
the
the
way
professor should have had the self-control to be able to do it right, because if he has gone through the same training that Quentin and the rest are, like, I feel like he should have been able to do it. But Lisa Travis asked, was the beast actually Quentin's fault? I don't think he didn't like bring the beast there, but I think he allowed the beast to come through. He
I wanna
created
say
a
that
weakness.
He distracted the professor when he did the podium thing, and the professor screwed up his casting.
Yeah, like 2 words were jacked up or
And
something.
it created an opportunity for something to get through, and the beast took that opportunity.
But
Yeah, so sorry, you were correct. So Quentin did the thing, moved the podium, and when he did it, it distracted the professor. And Alice leaned over and said, "He's an idiot." He dropped the second syllable. He should have said, and then they froze.
Yeah.
So he said the wrong thing. He cut out part of what he was supposed to say, and that is what that continuity error, like they say, it's like a movie. That is what allowed the window for the beast to come in.
I was reading over your shoulder and I thought it said, "But the ineffable Alice," but it's the infallible. So, but my thing there, my question is like, so are beasts just waiting to be like, "Oh, I hope somebody messes up a spell here so I can get in this door"?
No, he mentions that. The dean talks about it later. Like, he's like, they're seen and observed, but it's never really interesting. Like, they don't care. It's something out of the periphery. And then something happened for them to notice and be
And they
interested
just, like,
enough to be like, I want to go there.
So it was
Yeah.
Quentin's fault.
Yeah.
I think so.
It was for sure
Because
Quentin's fault.
You don't play pranks in magic class.
Well, no, because obviously if a spell goes wrong and you can turn into whatever it is, a niffler, then yeah, you don't want to mess up a spell mid-spell. I know it's not niffler,
Niffin,
but that was
isn't it? Or
Niffin.
yeah,
Niffin.
whatever. Nifflers are cuter. Then
Nifflers are
They
cuter.
are cuter.
He doesn't get that.
Julie says, I think it's important that Quentin believes it's his fault. I also think it's important that this is not definitely confirmed that anyone else thinks it's Quentin's fault. Because we're going to have a moment where like somebody finds out. Where like he has to come clean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
If we
totally
follow
coming.
classic,
It has to.
classic TV rules.
I will say it's. I'm excited to get to the end because I do kind of want to see how the no, I mean not in a bad way. I kind of want to see. I want to at least watch an episode of the show because I remember looking back because I mean guys, we've been almost doing this for a year, which is mind blowing. But looking back at Good Omens, I think I appreciate the book way more after I watched the show because the book mirrored the show mirrored the book so well, in my opinion. But I'm kind of interested to see after we read this, to see some visualizations because that's always interesting. And I know it veers off course.
wait,
I know
I zoned out for a second. I'm so sorry. Were you talking
I'm
about
that
the
interesting.
Magician's TV show?
Yeah, I know it's
Yeah,
totally
it's not
different.
supposed to be like this.
I know, but it's.
But I
it'll
do
just
want
be
to watch it
interesting.
too.
Yeah.
But I was gonna buy the rest of the trilogy. Can we read the whole thing before we do that?
You can read the whole thing. I will see. I'm still. Look,
Stop
I'm still
it.
trying to get to our cat Hugo is never able to
Stop it!
get up there. So I still have to go back and read the second of the Silo series. Well, and I got to finish Red Rising, the Gold Sun.
I
Golden
feel
Sun.
like you're not prioritizing your quarantine time properly. You should work less and read more.
I'm still working, so it's hard. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
On the Facebook post for discussion topics, Katie Dahl asked, would you rather attend Brakebills or Hogwarts or another magic school? And if you put aside the whole depressing thing, like you have to be depressed to do magic at Brakebills.
Hang on. Before we get into that, I just got to acknowledge Mike's Star Trek reference on YouTube. If that's your
Nice.
drinking game, take a shot. But he just said, he's talking about the Beast. It's how in First Contact, nobody cares about humans until they achieve warp speed. It's like the Beast comes
I like
in.
how Christy and I are trying to talk about the book, and we keep getting interrupted and cut off our husbands to
Sorry.
It
acknowledge
is a
nerd
proper Star
comments.
Trek reference. Mike, thank you. And I'll be here afterwards. We can talk about it.
So, Hogwarts or Brakebill or another magic school?
I'm not smart enough to go to Brakebill.
Yeah.
I would rather go to Hogwarts. It seems like I have a much higher chance of death at Hogwarts. But
That's
it
true.
seems like everybody has a little bit more fun.
Yeah, what's your house, Adam?
I don't know.
It seems like it would be more fun at Hogwarts and also a sufficiently like a lot less calculus.
Yeah, a lot less.
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Um,
It seems.
It seems more like a fun school where you don't learn real things, whereas Brakebills, it's like you have to learn all the real things before you can even get in there.
Yeah, I think that's because this one's so much more rooted in reality that the magicians have to live in the real world and function in the real world, where in Harry Potter, you can totally be a magician and just go and do your own thing and live your crazy
Also,
life.
in one of the very first classes, he talks about how you did a spell and you had to move your pinky and your middle
Oh, yes.
finger independently. And when I read that, I tried to do it, and I was like, I can't go to Brakebills.
Well, in Harry Potter, the words just seem so much more fun to say, and we actually know like what the spells are, like Leviosa, and we don't know what the spells are.
It's Leviosa.
In this, like they talk about like casting and they talk about language and they talk about how intricate it is, but we never hear any of it.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Quentin does his first magic with the invented language that he did, like
That's
during the
true.
testing, which I thought was really cool. But then they
Yeah.
don't ever mention that again.
No. Also, I love that I totally corrected you like the wrong way, and you had no idea.
Me?
It is no, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Leviosa.
But I flipped the opposite on him, and he had no clue because he hasn't read the books.
I watched that
Sorry.
movie though. That was in like the first one.
That was in the first movie. Yeah, I would probably say Hogwarts. Just it feels like this one feels like the really sad theater tech kids that just sit outside the stage door and smoke cigarettes and drink too much.
You just insulted like half.
I know.
of them.
I was a liberal arts
Whoa.
kid too, but I mean where.
Be like, I went
No,
to a conservatory theater school. We had one of the
But am I
biggest
wrong?
classes. We
It
had
just feels like a
14
bunch
people.
of goth kids that are
Very
just
fun.
like.
Jeff is into it. He says that he would pick Brakebills immediately. He doesn't remember sex, drugs, and rock and roll mentioned once at Hogwarts.
Yeah. Ellen says, I'll admit I like Brakebills more, but I'm a Ravenclaw, so I'm excited about the vigor and learning to say weird languages.
Yes, I get that
I'm
reference.
a
Yeah,
Ravenclaw
that's cool,
too,
Ellen.
but also I hated calculus with a passion because I was terrible
Yeah,
at
it
it.
seems like
Yeah.
Brakebills seems like a lot more work, but I feel like getting through Brakebills is probably you feel a whole lot better, like more accomplished.
Oh, yeah.
Although
definitely.
Quentin didn't seem to feel like that when he was like graduating and Alice was like there with him and he's like, I really just kind of want to be alone. But he's just got problems. But like, you make it through Brakebills and like you've made it. Like
Yeah, Joseph said this is more the students who major in physics and mathematics. As a music major, I agree. That's why
They're
I
the
belong at Hogwarts.
scientist
yeah,
magician.
Justin compared it earlier to like him being in music theory class where you have to learn a bunch of like nonsense and garbage.
It's
and,
20. Yeah, it's 20th century music theory. That's what it is, and I hated that class the most.
yeah,
Is my tongue purple?
I can tell.
So,
I made
Drinking
spaghetti
red
for
wine.
dinner, and so
Why
we were
purple?
drinking red.
Oh.
Well, we never drink because red wine makes your tongue purple.
Oh, I think.
We never drink red wine, but he made spaghetti, so it was open.
Yeah, Joe says Hogwarts, say Leviosa and give you a swish. Why not? Brakebills, solve this calculus problem, recite the weather in Berlin, and hold a sneeze for 7 minutes.
Oh God, that sounds horrible.
That's totally
You get
true.
a,
Like,
you get a laugh emoji for that one.
Justin
Yeah,
loved
just-
20th century music theory.
You
You weirdo.
So
Quit being so.
comparing to other things, Katie Doll wants to know, which would you rather play, Welters or Quidditch, and which would you rather watch?
Quidditch would rather watch. I see, again, higher chance of death in Quidditch. Welters seems like it's a boring game of human chess on weird. It's like Settlers of Catan with human chess.
However, you're on the ground.
Yeah.
In Quidditch, you're flying up in the air and you can fall off your broom, which, by the way, flying on a broom has always, to me, seemed like the most uncomfortable thing possible.
Oh, yeah.
So I would
no
rather
support on
watch
that thing.
Quidditch but play Welters because Welters is actually a game of like real like mental skill, whereas Quidditch, like that's super fun to watch. You can be in the stadium cheering everybody on. It seems more like an actual like human
I would
sport.
want to fly.
No, where's that broomstick? That broomstick's going up your butt.
Remember that one movie where like it's probably every movie where like the thing went out of control and it started like smashing through everything. It was like smashing his broom
That was
apart.
only
like,
one movie.
I feel like it's every movie something goes
just
wrong in
one of them.
Quidditch.
Ledger.
But like you can die at Hogwarts like very easily, and they're just like, oh, this is so much fun.
Okay, but here's the thing. They can also heal you better at Hogwarts. Remember what Quentin got a friggin' concussion when Penny punched him and he fell backwards and he got a concussion. They didn't even diagnose him properly right away. They were like, oh, you bumped your head. And then later he threw up and passed out in the bathroom. And then they like had to keep doctoring him. Whereas in Hogwarts, it's like, oh no, we took all the bones out of your arm. It's okay, drink this and they'll grow
They'd be
back.
like
We're getting a lot-
anti-concussio, and then you'd be.
Joseph actually says Welters. There's actual magic involved.
That's a good point.
I think, to be fair with Welters, I think the Harry Potter series spent so much time explaining and defining Quidditch that you get a really, really solid sense of it. Where Welters, it's a little.
Yeah, what happened at the end of the game when Quentin like took off his jacket and his shirt and then he picked up Alice and then jumped in the water square? That was the end of the game. They didn't even say who won
He
or
lost.
what.
They lost.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
was them
so-
losing, like
Yeah.
conceding.
So-
Why do you do that?
Yeah, so Joseph again says it's more chess than football, which I can totally see it. And I think if they had, and maybe they do, maybe they define it a little bit more
What did
throughout
you
the
just say about
series.
chess?
But
I don't know how to play.
that Welters is more like chess and Quidditch is more like football.
No, that's fine. Continue.
But sorry.
Yeah,
It's
Welters.
because I.
Welters, like, I don't know if like with Harry Potter, it's like this is a thing. We're gonna make Quidditch a thing. This book, again, being the anti-Harry Potter, introduces you to this game that the point is not about playing the game. The point is to like the game was like forced upon them so that they could try to get over the Beast incident. And at first they were like into it, and then they were just like really tired of it. It was like a way to move along their emotional stories, and like
Well, does anybody remember the story about Welters? Like it was used as like dueling at first? And
Yeah, to prevent dueling because they kept killing each other with the friggin' duels, and he was like, "Hey, dum dum, stop killing each other. Play this game instead."
Jennifer says he lost the game on purpose. Which
Yeah.
they were at the point where like they had made this massive comeback, but then like if they had kept playing, the game would have gone on longer, and nobody wanted the game to go on longer because they were all tired of it.
It was boring. I don't know.
I didn't really get Welters. Maybe I will later.
Well, I think again, I think it's just they spent so much time on it in Harry Potter, and it was also kind of relatable already between soccer and rugby and football that we kind of get it. You know, there's a loose association, but
Yeah,
Welters
but
takes
Welters
chess
actually-
and amps it up to 20.
and makes it like actually based on like your magical ability and skill. It's
Yeah.
like a real challenge. I think Justin said it somewhere. It scrolled past. Sorry, he said, "Oh God, what did he say? I forgot."
I loved how this book played up the obviousness of the school's obsession
Yes!
with British style.
Yes, love that. How they all like even speak. They don't speak with a British accent, but they kind of almost worlds
Yeah,
too,
there's
and
a
they even have
Brakebills
implemented
accent.
like using prefects and all this
It's
stuff.
like the
And
1950s movie
Well, like
language.
the cuisine, having that
yeah.
like high French cuisine and stuff like that they
When
talk about. It's
I love when even when he first showed up and he was like, I'm obviously in a much different place. Am I in a magical land? Where am I? And Elliot was like, you're in upstate New York.
yeah.
Like we're still here.
I do want to find out about the book. I want to find out about the magicians, book
Yes.
6.
Yeah.
That was one of my big mysteries of like, I
Oh,
really
it's gonna come
want
back up.
Quentin to
It is.
find that
Yes.
book,
I think
right?
we're reading it.
Oh,
Boo. I
Boo.
hope
Well,
not.
It's the Fillory books. It's book 6 of the Fillory books.
I know, but what if this is it?
Jay says English accents rule. I agree, Jay. And Jay, keep reading, man. Jay, if y'all didn't see Jay doing some poetry, Jay lives in England. He is English, and he has a lovely accent.
Do you want to get through some more of these?
Cheers. So,
Um,
to this.
Yes.
Cheers.
Another discussion topic that was posted on Facebook, Roberta said, how is this very much a contemporary coming of age tale, especially for anyone who's in a gifted/talented program in school, like IB?
Oh, yeah.
I was not in the gifted talented group.
And how is it a wake-up call for anyone who's obsessed with Narnia, Middle-earth, or Hogwarts when they were growing up?
I would say it would be like if I was actually like enlisted in Starfleet, and instead of Starfleet being what I see in Star Trek, it is like a punishing boot camp for like 6 years, and like you have to learn things, and let's not just fun space.
It's like Starship Troopers.
Yeah, except worse. Like that's
Yeah.
how I feel like in terms of like the wake up call. It's like this guy has a fantasy land that he escapes to, and he finally gets to escape to this fantasy land that is grueling and punishing and like very disillusioning.
Yeah.
Caitlin says it sounds like Ender's Game. I could see that. If you haven't
Yeah,
read Ender's Game.
Full Metal Jacket, Scott. Like if I went to Starfleet and guys like, this is your phaser. There are many like them, but this one is yours. I'm like, oh, that's not.
Oh, Matt says he thinks part of why he doesn't connect with this book is because he didn't read books when he was a kid. That's super.
You're illiterate, Matt.
Stop. No, that's actually really interesting because I think this does play on that. Like, I definitely had those moments when he was talking about how, as a child, like, he always searched. He went there, he reached into the wardrobe. He didn't even look around to see the dead guy. When he went in for his interview, he reached into the wardrobe and reached all the way to the back to actually feel if something was there.
Because he believes in magic, right? And
But
Alice
I
brings
definitely no. I had those moments as a kid where you wanted so desperately to believe. Where like, I swear to God, if I had seen a huge person-sized wardrobe as a child, I for sure would have opened it and been like,
Looked around the back
please be something super incredible. Like, I do think it plays on that, and maybe that is why some people can connect to it better than others. I lived in a happy, farcical dream world where I
can joke
desperately
with Matt
wanted
like
to
that
as
because
a
I
child.
actually know Matt.
That was Star Trek for me. It was an escape to a magical land.
Jay said you're red shirt ensign number 3.
Oh, God,
But he even talks about that. He actually talks about he's about reading. Like, I love that part of the book is like the books within the books, where he talks about how reading is his escape and what that meant to him and those magical worlds within worlds. And I think that's a really neat thing that he's put in there.
I'm excited to continue. I think it gave me enough of a thread to want to carry on and see how this world develops. I think I feel, if I had to compare it to another book, it does kind of feel like Red Rising at this point, where Red Rising is the sci-fi version of it, and this is kind of more the fantasy version. And I want to see how. Huh?
I didn't make that connection at all.
Well, no, I just feel like this is where I felt personally at the midway point with Red Rising. I was interested, I wanted to carry on, and I'm hoping that it leads me into the trilogy.
Yeah.
Adam, Christy?
We got some
What?
things to talk.
Well, yeah, it is 8:30. We want to like say where we land on this book.
Yeah, that's
and
kind of
then,
where I.
and then make some announcements.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed the first half, and I cannot wait to read the second half. I'm hoping that we have a little bit more structure and plot in the second half, but excited.
I get that.
Yeah, same.
Same.
And through this conversation, again, it's always nice to talk about these kinds of things. I can appreciate it more as the anti-Harry Potter, as a more like introspective version of Harry Potter, where you're going through magic school, but it's not about like the external plot. It's about the internal story of Quentin and his coming to terms and his growth and his development and all that stuff. The school is what it is, and for the most part, other than the beast thing, it's business as usual at the school. Like there's nothing sort of like Harry Potter comes to the school and everyone's like, "You're Harry Potter! Oh my God, you're the guy." But here he's just another guy at the school, and
He's another brilliant person.
Yeah. He is like everybody else, and like that like weighs on him at first. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I've never been in a situation where everybody's as smart as me," which is kind of arrogant to say, but that said, and having come to terms with that, I'm in it. I think book 2 is going to be wildly different from book 1. The second half of the book 2, is going to be wildly different than book 1. So yeah, I'm into it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Like Kirsty said that.
Allie,
Me
you
too.
get the same thing?
No, it's all the same thing. Like I said, I've been enjoying it. I know the pacing has been very different from what we've been reading, and it seems a lot more of like a mental and emotional plot versus an action-driven plot. But I'm enjoying it, like not manically, but I do like it. I'm very excited to finish it and then place my order online for the second.
She probably already has. I need to look at her bank account.
I haven't. But that's only because I finished reading it today, so I've been busy. I was kind of behind, so I finished reading it this afternoon. So I'll place the order.
So a couple quick announcements. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. My selfish announcement, Adventures in Reading. We have 3 books. These are our books. So go and vote. You've got like 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to pick whatever has the highest amount of votes. Right now it's calling Outer Space. Go vote for Adventures in Reading. That's going to be next Wednesday at 7:30. And we're going to do prizes this time. So you could win maybe a t-shirt, or you could win maybe a literally wasted wine tumbler, which we're drinking out of tonight. Yeah, we're going to do
a wine glass, a wine tumbler.
Wine tumbler. It's a glass. It's an actual glass. You will not get these until after all this craziness, so just fair warning. So go vote. It's in the Literally Wasted Lounge. There is a poll with the 3 options, and these are twist-a-plots. This is a different series. But
Same concept.
Same concept. It's still a choose your own adventure book, but we have a good time. If you haven't hopped into Adventures in Reading, I like to do it. It's fun.
So now let's talk about this real fun thing we got coming up.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about that?
I do, but I know that's selfish.
Do it.
Do it.
Are you sure
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay?
Do it.
Go for it.
Okay. My heart just started racing.
You're building this up.
On Friday, May 1st, 2 days after, right?
Yes, 2 days
after our final live discussion, after we talk about this book in its entirety, we will have a bonus live stream. Extra. We're going to do another live stream, and it will be a very, very special one because we are going to be Skyping with Lev Grossman himself.
What? Who?
So start thinking about what you want to ask him. Make sure it's
This
nice.
guy, right there.
We don't wanna... But obviously wait until you finish the book, but get to thinking, because whatever you want to ask him, we're going to be pulling him into the chat. And when I say we, I mean Adam, because he's the technical guru. Just as he has formatted this for us, we will be having a similar chat, but be pulling in Mr. Grossman himself,
Yes.
who has agreed to speak with us live, a live discussion Q&A
For an
with
hour.
the author
An hour.
himself.
Yeah.
Just like our normal book live discussions, but this one will be with him.
Yeah. So
We're so excited.
So he lives in New York with his family, and I'm sure I won't even say that he's bored out of his mind and he agreed to do this, but we're so excited to have him. He's been so gracious working with him, just back and forth via email. He's very responsive. So for those of you that are not watching live, we're gonna start pushing this out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we'll create an
and
event.
you'll have an event and all sorts of stuff.
Well,
So
I have to make a graphic for it
Dan,
first.
Dan's asking, will this be live?
Yes.
Yes, this will be live. You can come in the comments and you can ask him. We'll try to get as many of your questions to him as possible. And he'll be live.
We'll be reading the comments as a moderator, so to speak. So we will pull from your comments and then reiterate them to Lev, who will then answer live in the stream. So
super.
And I will say, super excited, and hopefully this, Lev Grossman is very highly respected, I think, in the literary community. And hopefully this will open up a lot of doors for us, because we really do want to do this every month. We have been trying with several authors, in the past, but we're super gracious for him to offer this opportunity. Grateful. Thank you. She always corrects me.
Yeah.
Well, you said the wrong word.
I know I
So,
did.
we all have a lot of questions about, hopefully some of our questions will be answered. We might have a lot more questions by the time we're done with the book. But we won't have to just debate about it. We can ask the man himself.
We will probably stick to the questions that have to do with book one, just so that there's no spoilers for anybody.
Yeah.
For the rest of the series, and unfortunately the TV show as well.
Yeah. So we'll keep it to just the first book, but still, that's good stuff. And,
It's still really exciting. But don't ask him questions about the second and third book, because we might not have finished them by then.
Lisa says, "Sorry, kid, mommy can't watch Frozen 2 again. I have to go chat with an author."
Yeah.
That's right. So, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you all sticking around to the very end for that announcement. This has been a really fun chat. We're excited.
Yeah, and so our second live chat is when? What's the
2
date?
weeks from
The
now?
29th,
2 weeks
April
from today.
29th.
So mark your calendars. We've already got an event on Facebook. Go say that you're going on the event on Facebook. And then 2 days after that, we're going to have a live chat with Lev Grossman. So we can all talk beforehand and be like, oh, this book sucks. What are we going to talk about? And then we get to Lev Grossman. And we're like, we love you. This is so awesome.
No, we're not going to be shills, but it's going to be exciting. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, no, I think we'll have a lot of cool stuff to talk about, and he can let us in a little bit on the behind the scenes process of coming up with the magicians. So
Yep.
Yay!
So we're thrilled.
Yep.
So just remember, if you have other friends who you think would be interested, who want to read, who like to read, who don't read but should read, which is everybody, honestly.
I should read more.
Then be sure to tell them about us. We're here. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're in the Literally Wasted Lounge, where we talk about all of the book things all of the time.
Oh, and go check out our website. We did a massive kind of overhaul of thegeekword.com or literarily-wasted.club. We've got season pages now, so you can go back and look at the season as a whole. And we had some feedback from some users on Facebook about wanting to see what didn't get chosen. Mm-hmm. So on each of the season, and we've broken it up by the year, so there's a 2019 and a 2020 season, you can see what we didn't choose. So if you're looking for another great recommendation for a book, go check that out.
And those might come back in future polls. Books that we didn't get to read.
Spoiler alert. We are coming up on our first year anniversary.
It's exciting.
So it's a good time. And then anybody who didn't get a chance to read the first half of the book up until now, you still got time to read the whole book by the end of the month. And
yep, you got 2 weeks.
Chat with Lev Grossman.
Woohoo! Thank you, guys. We hope you are all safe, and if you are a frontline worker through all of this craziness, we really appreciate you so much, more than we can ever express. We're grateful for anybody that is out there facing, this adversity day in and day out. So thank you. Be safe. Be kind. We love you all, and
wash your hands.
This is a great release for us, and I honestly look forward to it more than you know, and I never thought I would say that about a book club.
Yeah, me either.
We changed it.
I know.
We did it, you guys! I tried for so long, and y'all helped me. We finally changed him.
All right. Y'all stay safe and be good, and we'll see you soon, especially in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Guys.